Great.
Yeah, the interviewer, first of all, says here that your band has become known as the Swedish Jellyfish.
Okay.
Is that a compliment, or is that an insult, or how do you...
No, that's a great compliment. We've had Jellyfish as our musical heroes for a few years now, since they released the first album, and they are really the direction that we, in the same direction of music and have the same influences. But of course, you always want to be standing on your own in some way. But we love Jellyfish, so it's quite okay.
What do you like most about Jellyfish?
Well, it's most of all, I think I like everything. If you're talking about the music, is Andy Sturmer is a great singer, and they have great songs, great arrangements, tasteful, and just about everything. But it's only about the music. It's nothing except the music that we are thinking about when we're talking about Jellyfish. It's not their image or something. Well, I would like that too, but it's really about the music.
Mm-hmm. The interviewer thinks that your music is a little bit less, what's the word? Whereas Jellyfish is kind of extreme in their pop references, your music seems a little more detached, a little bit more maybe personal, maybe less. There are less obvious pop references in your music.
Okay, well, that's great, because it's so easy to make the impression that you're only stealing things from other bands, which is kind of unfair, because we write our own songs and our own melodies, our own lyrics, and if you have a very obvious reference, then people are going to think, oh, they stole it from this and that, even if it's just a matter of a sound on a guitar or something like that. So we're trying to avoid it most of the time, to have too many references, but I promise you there are some on our album as well. We have the revolver guitar solo, and we have or the Texman guitar solo and stuff like that. But
I guess that's what we call an homage.
Yeah, exactly. I would say so too, and we have our own Tom Petty sounding song and so on.
Yeah. We've heard that Andy Sturmer might be producing your second album. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually been here in Stockholm for nearly a month in March, and we've been recording our second album. So it's been great. We were very honored of having him here, and couldn't believe it.
How did you arrange for him to produce your album? What did you do? Did you approach him, or did he approach you? Or?
It was we got an email from him on the. He had seen our homepage on the internet, and when we first received that, that was in September last year or October or something like that. We couldn't believe it was really him, but it was, and we started to write to each other, and we sent him our album, the No Sleep Till Famous album, and also our new demos, and he actually loved our music. So that was when he said we should talk more about this, maybe including us working together. And that was the moment when we just fell to the floor and and were stunned by surprise. So that from then on we were pushing him as hard as we could. Produce us, play the drums.
Did he look at your homepage before hearing your sound? Then?
Before
before he actually heard your album, he looked at your homepage first?
Yeah, he was aware of the Merrymakers since Jellyfish played in Sweden in '93, because we went up to him after a concert and said hello, and he had actually heard a single of ours from that time, which his mother liked even more than Jellyfish. so he was aware of the Merrymakers. So now this last October, when he was surfing the internet, I suppose he was searching the word Jellyfish and ended up at our homepage. So he hadn't heard our album when he saw our homepage.
I see. Okay, well that's a quite a coincidence, and I guess it's also a very good example of how the internet brings people together.
Yeah, it's amazing, because you can find people with common interests, no matter how small the subject or interest is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're into a special kind of music, very narrow style, then you can find people in America or in Japan that has the same influences, and that's very good.
Mm-hmm.
We found a lot of fans, or what you want to call it, in America that we're sending our music to, that has discovered us through the internet.
Mm-hmm. And
so that's great.
Yeah, that's right. And it says here that you still have a day job.
Yeah. I actually began 6 months ago. That was when I became a music publisher. So I'm looking for new talent and I'm trying to find record deals for bands and artists.
That's not music publishing. That's more like an A&R position.
Yeah, kind of A&R at a music publishing side.
Which company do you work for?
It's for Sony ATV Music Publishing.
Sony
Sony/ATV.
Oh, Sony ATV, I see.
Yeah, music publishing.
Okay, so actually you are very well aware of the business side of the music business as well, then. Yeah,
well, I'm trying to anyway. So so the first thing we did was starting our own publishing. But yeah, you could say that we're quite aware of the mechanisms in the business, but it's never easy to come forward or to come through as a band in the business, even if you know all the tricks.
Mm-hmm, yeah, that's right. But I mean, it's a big contrast to Andy, who doesn't seem to be a business person at all.
No, exactly. He's more like only a musician or only a performer. But I have that. I'm kind of divided. I've always been like that in the band. Even before I had a job, I was always the one who took care of when we were playing somewhere and we got the money, and I divided them and made all the phone calls and all that stuff. So I've been like a sort of manager.
I see. And how old are you now, David?
I'm 27.
27. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said you just started this work. What were you doing before that?
Before then, I was like freelancing. Me and Anders in the band, we were trying to not work so that we could write pop songs. But it's always a matter of earning enough money so you can make a living. But we did that for a year or two, and Peter was studying at the university, and but then suddenly I got this job which I thought sounded quite nice, and so I jumped onto that. But as soon as when I don't have the time anymore to work, I probably will have to quit. But that day, I don't know when comes.
Do you see that happening in the near future? Is that possible?
It's already a bit of a problem because we've been trying to record this album, and it's not easy to record an album at the same time as you're having a day job.
Yeah.
Actually, Andy said to me at one stage in the studio when I was playing the guitar, "Play as you didn't have a day job." He shouted from the control room.
He could see that you were a little bit inhibited.
Probably, I guess he did.
Yeah.
So then I went like Slash of Guns N' Roses instead.
So your album has been released in Sweden and Japan and anywhere else?
The album has been released, I think, maybe in Norway and Germany, but we're not actually sure because our record company doesn't give us that much information. So
they don't even tell you where your album has been released?
No, actually not, but I don't think they know themselves. That's the funny thing, because their German office, they said they were going to release it and were quite enthusiastic, but then not even our record company heard anything more about it, so I don't know what happened. But anyway, it's Sweden and Japan so far, and hopefully some more countries will release it if it becomes a success in Japan. And our goals for the second album is much bigger. We have changed record company now to Virgin Worldwide, so we're hoping that they will try to get it released in England and America too.
Is the type of pop music you do very popular in Sweden?
I wouldn't say very popular, because the music scene here is very much into dance music. It's soul and R&B. These are the the biggest selling musical styles. I mean, as soon as you get a big hit, it can be a big style, because I mean, people like Crowded House, I suppose, sells a lot of records even in Sweden, but we have so many good pop bands in Sweden at the moment, and the market is not that big, so it's not easy to break in Sweden with playing this pop music. It's easier if you're a young girl singing soul and R&B or dance music.
Why is dance music so popular? That strikes me as surprising. Do the young people go to discos a lot and stuff? Is that why?
Yeah, I think so. They do. They go to clubs, and I don't know either, because I'm not too fond of all types of dance music. But it's I guess it's the music of the 90s in a way. Mm-hmm. I'm afraid, because it seems like that's the today's really popular music. Mm-hmm. Rap, hip hop, R&B, soul, dance, techno, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't seem to go away. I thought for a few years that this would just last for a while, but it develops as well, so we'll see where it ends up. But as Andy and we said, there's always a great melody is always welcome.
Yeah.
So we're playing in a traditional pop, with trying to make great melodies and so on, which always seem to work.
What about the bands that are being produced by Tore Johansson? How do you feel about those bands?
Yeah, I think they're good. We like, for instance, Cardigans, especially their latest album, and Eggstone is one of our favorite Swedish bands. And I haven't heard all of that stuff, because as you might know, it's not that well known in Sweden as in Japan. Some of the stuff is making, but I think it's very clever and well produced. It has a special sound to it, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. There's a very unique connection, it seems like, between you're connected to Andy Sturmer, who's connected to Japan through a few acts here, and then of course Japan is connected to Sweden through bands like Americans, and there seems to be kind of it's like a non-mainstream, non-UK and American connection going on.
No, I think so too.
Yeah.
It's like well, I would say it's very far away between Sweden and Japan, but in musical taste we seem to be very close, and that's nice for Swedish bands, because Japan is such a big market compared to Sweden, so it in a way it saves a lot of good music. It's very good that we have this relationship, and it's very nice. I'm glad we're now a part of it too, because I always thought that our music might work in Japan, but we hadn't had the chance to release it until now.
Mm-hmm. Your approach to your music has not been very commercial, right? In your own case, you haven't really considered commercial potential, have you?
We would love to be very commercial, but it's very hard to know what to do to make it commercial. The only thing we're trying to do is write as good songs as possible and record them the way we want them to sound. And if that's commercial, then we're very happy. So in a way, we would rather be Roxette than some very trendy band which no one knows about.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
mm-hmm.
Because Roxette, we're very impressed by Per Gessle and the way he deals with his musical. Is it called heritage?
Mm-hmm.
Because he's got the same influences as we have from the 60s stuff, Beatles and Birds and Tom Petty and all that, and he makes something very commercial out of it. Maybe too commercial, because so it's you have to keep the balance.
Mm-hmm. It says here that you performed Sgt. Pepper's live with an orchestra.
Yeah, I went to the School of Music once a few years ago, and I've always been this Beatle idiot, Beatles freak, since I was 10 years old,
mm-hmm.
and everyone knew about that, and every year the school made a big project, and we ended up doing the Sgt. Pepper the Sgt. Pepper album in a live version. So then I had Anders and Peter in as well, performing as John and George, and we were playing the whole Sgt. Pepper album with the full symphony orchestra and rock band, and that was great. We actually went to Liverpool as well.
You performed it at Liverpool?
Yeah, and Cynthia Lennon was there, John's first wife,
mm-hmm.
and she was moved to tears and said, "The Beatles would have been proud."
Uh-huh. Wow.
So that was great.
Well, is that something that's going to happen again, or was that a one?
No, I think it was probably a one-timer, because we were 150 people in the cast, and it's quite an expensive project to do.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I guess that's very symbolic of you and your interest, though, because, like you said, you've always been a Beatles freak. I guess you would have to describe yourself maybe also as a pop freak, in the same way that Andy Sturmer or other people are.
Yeah, I would say so, because well, most of our time is spent either playing music or listening to music, and it's pop that we're into, and always eager to find new good bands and stuff.
What is it about pop music that attracts you? I mean, it's a very concise, short genre. A genre that makes an art form out of short songs, brief songs.
Yeah. Well, what is it? It's hard to tell. It's about emotions and the feeling you get from listening to a short and clever pop song. Mm-hmm. It's hard to describe in words, but I suppose that's what attracts me in music, and I suppose it's the catchiness and the melody, and I don't know. It's hard to tell.
There's a list of bands and musicians here that the interviewer wants you to he wants you to talk about them in terms of whether you like them and why you like them. Okay?
Okay.
There's a list of 9 of them.
Yeah?
Yeah. The first one is the most obvious, Beatles.
Well, I love the Beatles in every possible way, and they're my big heroes and idols. And someone told me that I'm actually breathing the Beatles. Whatever that means, but yeah. I'm constantly thinking about the Beatles. Mm-hmm. I'm mentioning them at least a couple of times a day, every day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so number
2. So they're special.
Okay.
They're in a league of their own.
Right. And number 2 is the Ruttles.
The Ruttles. I love the Ruttles movie as well. Very good, clever pop songs. They have stolen the Beatles songs perfectly, and very funny film.
Mm-hmm. Number 3 is XTC.
That's a very good band, which sometimes is maybe too clever, which makes them uncommercial.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, because they're very good, and I haven't listened to them as much as I should have done.
What would be an example of them being too clever?
It's just maybe clever is not the right word, but it's you have to listen to the songs a few times until you get into them, and that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But that's also something very good. But I think that prevented them from being as big as they should be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's in a way what we're trying to avoid sometimes.
I see.
We're trying to be very easy listened.
You want to be more immediate.
Yeah, more immediate, but I hope people will like our record even after the 3rd time they've heard it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Number 4 is Todd Rundgren.
Todd Rundgren, I haven't listened to either as much as I should have. I saw him with the Ringo Starr and his all-star band, and
mm-hmm.
he seems like a funny guy, and his a cappella album has impressed me a lot, that it's where he only is singing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole album is just his voice, and it's very good. But I've heard he did some great pop stuff in the early 70s, which I haven't heard, so
mm-hmm.
I'd probably think it's great.
Okay. Number 5, Bonzo Dog Band.
Bonzo Dog Band.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Isn't that from the Magical Mystery Tour movie?
It's an obscure late 60s, early 70s band from the UK.
Yeah, I think actually they were seen in a scene from the Magical Mystery Tour, the Beatles movie. Mm-hmm. But that's the only thing I know about them, so okay. I can't tell.
Okay, well, this is not a test.
No, exactly.
Number 6 is Ben Folds 5.
Oh, they're great. They are our recent favorites. Very good. They seem to attract the same sort of fans as Jellyfish had. I've seen that on the internet, and I've seen them twice and met them as well, and they're very good. They don't have a guitar, which makes them having an interesting sound. I like them a lot. We all do.
And number 7 is, I don't know if you've heard of this, is a Japanese, these are Japanese musicians, Puffy and Tamio Okuda.
Yeah, I've heard of them both actually because of Andy, and they're also very good, and there's a special connection because Andy produced the Tamio Okuda album, so we have listened to it a lot and understood that he's a very big star in Japan and seemed to be a very good pop artist. And the Puffy girls, very cute and very good. I haven't listened that much to them, but yeah.
Okay, and the last two, number 8 is ABBA.
ABBA. And they are probably the best band that Sweden ever had, because their melodies are also, well, what word can I use? They're brilliant, all of them, nearly, and they were not very influenced by ABBA in our music, but we really respect them for the music, and we are glad that they got the credit that they were worth, because in the 70s in Sweden it was kind of untrendy to like ABBA. But that has changed now, so now everyone loves ABBA.
And last one is Matthew Sweet.
Yeah, he's also one of our favorites. His Girlfriend album especially was very good, and I'm quite influenced by the guitar playing on his records, which is played by Richard Lloyd. But he's a very good pop singer as well.
Okay, that was the last one. So that was the last one.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think I've got all the questions covered here. Are you guys performing live at all?
Yeah, we are. We haven't done it for a while now, but we have done lots of gigs. But it's at the moment we don't have any live gigs planned. We might do a few unplugged gigs when we come to Japan.
Well, when you come to Japan, is there a plan to come here then?
Yeah, we're coming for promotion for our album in May. I think between the 9th and the 19th of May. So that will be very exciting, and we look very much forward to it.
I see. Okay, well, David, I think I have all the questions covered here.
Okay.
And I wish you the best of luck, and hope to see you guys when you get out here.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah. So
nice talking to you.
Once again, my name is Steve Harris, and this was for Rocky On Magazine.
Yeah, great.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
see
you.
you.
Then. Okay, then, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.